Hello and welcome back to There and Doing. I'm Hester and I'm joined by the brilliant Ben Bowman. Ben, 2 wins in a row.
We're back. Two clean sheets.
Held off 2 clean sheets. Held off the mighty Tamworth.
Yeah, fair play to Tamworth. You got to give them their credit, but fuck off.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Go back to where you belong, mate.
Yeah, back in your box. Trying to do your centre backs trying to do roulettes against us. You're having a laugh.
Little gimp, mate. What are you doing? Who do you think you are?
Yeah. Who do you think you are?
I actually there was actually a point in it was probably about the 90th minute where I thought we're out.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
What would you have done? Like, what's the reality? Because I think there is a reality out there right now where the mighty Tamworth have just knocked us out of the cup.
Yeah.
Because we were getting pelters and calling Spursy for going extra time, which was a bit embarrassing. But then put big guns on the pitch and just saw them off. Maybe we just gave them a little bit of hope. Get back in your box. Yeah. But there is a reality out there where we lost that game.
Oh yeah.
What would you have done?
Fuck knows. I probably wouldn't have ever come on the internet ever again. Because I was literally thinking, I was like, I made a YouTube video just now. Like, I didn't really break the game down because it's like, it's a bit embarrassing to do like a tactical deep dive of Tottenham 3, Tamworth 0. But I was just like, I talked about the game and like the key moments, and I was just like, and there would have been Spurs fans going to work today. There would have been people like me and you coming on doing podcasts. I would making TikToks and YouTube videos. People getting bantered by their friends about losing to Tamworth. I don't think you ever recover from that. Like, I'm Anjin all the way, but I think he would have to go blood. Like,
I think he would resign.
Yeah, probably would.
He would have to. It wouldn't be a second. He'd have to just step down and go back to like Brisbane Rovers or Raw. Yeah.
I was thinking because I feel like I say this every pod, but I'm reading Angeball at the moment, and he's fucking good. He's really good, and I've just got to the bit where he's kind of like, you know, like the whole thing about when he turned Brisbane Raw into like the best fucking team in the world.
Yeah.
And people called them like Raw Salona because they take their style of play from Barcelona. And I was thinking, like, because basically I'm doing 75 hard, sort of like 75 hard medium sort of thing. Like basically going like gym every day, like so much water, like not eating bad, no alcohol, that kind of stuff, which is gonna be hard because I'm going to the Emirates on Wednesday. And to be fair, at the start of the challenge, I did say, because I've got a stag do in February, and which comes in the 75 days. So I was like, I've got an exception of not drinking on the stag do, obviously. Like, obviously I'm going to drink.
No carbs before Marbs.
No carbs before Marbs. No carbs before Benidorm, more like.
Yeah.
That's where we go.
It's Benidorm.
Yeah. And,
see Ben White there, mate.
Yeah, exactly. I said, I was like, well, when I first did the rules for it, what I was doing, I was like, I'll let myself have a drink on my birthday. Like, not go crazy, but like, and I can eat like a nice meal or whatever. And I did do that, but I didn't have a drink. So I was like, do I just save the alcohol that I was going to drink on my birthday to drink it on Wednesday? Probably. So I might, that I've moved my exception. But anyway, part of the 75 hard thing I was doing is like reading 10 pages of a book every day. And one of them is, the book I'm reading at the moment is Angeball. And I was thinking, how am I going to sit there tonight when I get in bed, relax for the day, and read 10 pages of that fucking prick's book after we've just lost to Tamworth? How do you expect me to get, like, I'm Anjin all the way and I'm loving the book, but I'm like, how do you expect me to just go, yeah, that's a great point about, like, his, struggles in Greece and fucking, how he turned Brisbane Raw to like this, 36 game winning streak, the most out of any Australian sports team ever. We've just lost to Tamworth, and I'm supposed to get in bed at night and tuck myself in and start reading 10 pages of that fucking Australian
go straight in the bin, didn't it? Book. Go straight in the bin if
but I'd set it on fire. But no, I was allowed to read my pages, and fucking come on, Angie, I love him. Also, I don't think we could have blamed it that much on him if we did lose yesterday. Like, he was more than good enough to beat Tamworth. Like,
yeah, it was actually a good exercise to see what players out there like playing for us. We'll get into it. I'm really fit to wear the shirt, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You said you were going 75 hard. I was 75% hard watching the Arsenal game yesterday.
Oh, mate.
It was a very successful
Shame about
the Arsenal. Honestly, it was one of the best games I've ever seen. I think. Just
That's good
because
point.
it had everything. Because there's no VAR, and it was such a throwback. Like fights were back where there was no consequences because VAR could pick up a little headbutt or something.
Yeah.
The VA, like a shite refereeing decision that actually didn't impact the game. But like, how can we just take a pause on this? How bad is Andy Madley? Or how bad of a week is he? I don't want to go too bad on it, like too harsh on him, but he ain't good enough. Like get him out of no. But like,
wait, did we have Madley
Newcastle
the Newcastle game? Oh, that was
Newcastle.
Madley.
Yeah, it was him, mate. How bad of a week do you want from Saturday to Sunday? Yeah,
I didn't realize that
was
the
stream.
End the stream now. Stop eating it, biryani.
How bad is that,
mate?
How bad is that? That week of like refereeing decisions consecutively, terrible. But it didn't affect the game. Well, it did, but it didn't impact the final result. Penalty shootout, a penalty saved in the game, and Arsenal losing. He had
2 great
everything.
penalty saves
like
as well.
No VAR. It was 2 brilliant. Like they weren't even bad penalties, but it's so funny seeing Arsenal fans turn on their players and Kai Havertz like after gaslighting them and trying to gaslight everyone into believing that he was like unbelievable. Gary Neville at the beginning of the season was saying, yeah, he looks like Firmino at Liverpool.
Yeah, crazy.
Mate, he looks like he just looks like a dinosaur.
He looks like Ben AFC.
He's such a donkey. Who's that?
Do you remember Ben AFC? Oh, mate. Ben AFC was the Bevo on TikTok before Bevo. He was.
Yeah, I've seen the comparisons. I've seen the comparisons where he's eating in his bedroom. Yeah. No, he does. He ain't been blessed with looks, I don't think, and he hasn't been blessed with football ability. But what can I say? I'm like a fat shit in my bedroom talking about Tottenham and
doing essays.
I'm not a professional footballer. Doing essays. Yeah. Last night I was like at an all-time low. I was doing an essay at 2 a.m. that I handed in 2 a.m. but I ordered the Domino's because I was like, well, it's just going to help relieve the stress. But this morning I just feel like such a morose slag.
Mate, we've all done it. We've all done it.
Yeah, we've all been there. It's got to happen sometimes as well.
Yeah,
it's just coming a bit of a coincidence, occurrence. But yeah, that Arsenal game was quality, and we'll get into Arsenal in a bit because we're gonna sort of preview the North London derby in a couple of days. But it was just so good seeing an Arsenal loss. But
mate, I was listening. Sorry, before we went, I was driving to the gym like straight after the game yesterday. TalkSport phone-in was delicious. It was absolutely delicious.
Mate, yeah.
The last week of like Arsenal content generally has been absolutely delicious. Arteta blaming
Arsenal
the fucking
TV.
ball. Prime TV is back. There's penalty that went against them for Saliba against Brighton. The game before that, they've not.
Saliba getting double nutmegged.
Double nutmegged.
Where was your aura there, mate? I thought your aura scared players off, mate. You've got Joshua Zirkzee, who's at an all-time low in confidence, double nutmegging you and making you fall over in front of your own fans.
Well, do you think what Solanke's going to do to you?
No,
Zirkzee.
Oh.
We're going to.
That's what I was going to say. Do you think?
That's
what
I don't know.
Well, no. I don't think so. But do you? I mean, Solanke, when we lost to Arsenal, Solanke wasn't in his pump. He'd just come back from an injury, and you could tell he wasn't sharp. Now we've got a prime ready.
I remember one of my mates
in the mix.
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, though, I remember one of my mates who's an Arsenal fan texting me after that game and being like, even then with Solanke, and look, he didn't really affect the game that much. He had a couple of those headed chances and that, but like he had that shot that he just couldn't quite get away quickly enough.
Yeah, he sort of dwelled on it. Yeah.
And so even like my Arsenal mate said, then he was like, that's the hardest I've seen Gabriel and Saliba worked in a long time. So even then, I think people were noticing like what he did off the ball, even in games like that. And mate, to be fair, I fucking love Solanke. Why he looked awful when he came on yesterday. Like his first touch and everything was terrible. It was so bad.
He almost conceded the chance as well in the last minute where he trip
and
like looked straight at the ref, and he looked like he just shit his pants.
Yeah,
because
he was so bad.
Straight away, he would have been scapegoated.
Oh god, yeah, 65 million pounds.
Maybe it was the yeah. Well, maybe it was the like AstroTurf pitch. Maybe he just couldn't really get hold of it.
Yeah,
but there were certain players. The thing is. Well, let's get into it because there's a few individual performances I want to talk about. But Yeah, I'll talk about sort of the impact of the players that did come on. I know Dominic Solanke struggled a little bit, but Son, Kulusevski, Bergvall, Spence, they just looked levels above. And I know you got to factor in Tamworth's fitness and how they gave it all in that 90 minutes, and they were tiring and they sort of sat back and we just picked them apart with that quality. But Archie Gray.
Yeah,
I love the Archie Gray content after the game. The interview, like the leadership he's already showing at 18 years old, the way he conducts himself on the pitch. We have talked about him, but then I just love talking about him. We're going to keep talking about him, and hopefully he's here for 10 years and we talk about him every pod, because I love talking about Archie Gray. He's so good, and the potential he's showing, the comfortability he's showing. There's a couple of times where he got caught sort of on the wrong side of the attacker. But then again, these things are going to be sort of ironed out in his game. But and he's hopefully he's never going to be relied upon at centre back. But the fact that he is, and you feel comfortable with him being relied upon. Dragusin, I know he's on a booking, but I just think Dragusin struggled yesterday. I think he did. And I really love what I saw from Dragusin against Liverpool. I don't want to go in on Dragusin again, but you saw him come off. Spence comes centre back, and again Gray's left centre back again. He's just like, he's the least of our worries. An 18-year-old midfielder playing centre back is the least of our worries. How mental is that? But it was the words after, and we've seen him before when Forster made those mistakes against Man United in the Carabao Cup. We've seen Archie Gray say, "It's my fault. It's my fault." He takes accountability, and again he showed that again in the interview after the game, saying how there's no room for excuses. We can't make excuses. It's not good enough from certain players. We weren't on it. And I mean, for an 18-year-old, oh my god. And we actually got a question on the window, and it reminded me of the links or the rumors, not the rumors. George Bannister, who's in the know, he's very reliable on Twitter, said that this club are expecting Romero to leave in the summer. Do you think so? We got a question from Addis. Addy likes to learn on Twitter. He says, question: do you think other teams like Villa, Newcastle, etc., will now possibly consistently finish above us for the next few seasons because we never do as much business and we should do to back the managers properly in transfer windows? I wanted to just tie that in because I want to hear your takes on Romero in a minute. But Archie Gray, if Romero does go, how likely do you think he joins the leadership group? Because we're seeing players come forward that aren't in the leadership group. I know Vicario joined it this season, but Kulusevski, Gray, who else am I missing? But there's players
Solanke.
showing a lot of Solanke, a lot of leadership qualities out there. Romero's such a key figure in the dressing room. But if he was to go, I wouldn't be too worried about the leadership. There's potential there to sort of replace him from a leadership point of view, but obviously the idea of losing Romero right now is fucking terrifying. I think so. I've thrown a lot at you there, but just talk about Archie Gray's performance. Talk about your feelings on Archie Gray, on your reaction from his interviews yesterday, in relation to that leadership, and then also then talk about Romero because it did worry me last night.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where it's like we probably already expected it, but when it actually gets kind of written out like that, then you get, the worry kind of creeps in that little bit more. And we should be gutted if it does happen. I understand, like, people were cynical about Romero because of the amount of games that he misses, and there's been a lot of that. Like, I tweeted about it saying we should be gutted if this happens. Like, I think Kushinov would have been a good replacement, but obviously that kind of ship has sailed, and we just have to kind of accept it. And a lot of people are like, well, why should I be gutted? He misses so many games. It's like, I do get that 100%. I understand why fans are frustrated, but like, you're not going to find many better centre halves you can get to go and replace Romero. He's just, I think he'll be consistently underrated by this fan base and be consistently underrated by the outside because of the, preconceived ideas that people have of him and his mentality and his rash nature and all that kind of stuff. That stuff still kind of creeps in a little bit, not as much as before, but that's probably because he hasn't really been playing. It will be a big miss. I hope that Dragusin isn't the replacement because, as much as like we've spoken about Dragusin so many times, good defender, yes, but you lose so much with Romero's ability to progress the ball that it has to be kind of a as close to a like for like replacement as possible. Like, I mean, I've seen people talk about like, oh, okay, well, would you be unhappy if we sold Romero and bought like Mark Gahey? And I like Mark Gahey. I think Mark Gahey is a great defender, really good defender. Is he good enough on the ball to replace Romero? I think he's good on the ball for sure. To replace Romero, I wouldn't be that if that happened, I wouldn't be gutted. Like, you know, I like Mark Gahey. I do like Mark Gahey. But in terms of the leadership side of things, yeah, we've consistently said that about Gray, and the way he speaks is a great like orator. He's so calm and composed for such a young player. Just gets on with it. I think that obviously comes from the fact that he's come from such a rich like footballing family that have all played the game to a good level, and you know, especially when you play for clubs like Leeds, that's kind of instilled in you from a young age. And you know that stuff does happen. That does matter. It does count. Like who you play from, where you're brought up, and kind of what your values are in a footballing sense. I think him coming through at Leeds will have probably taught him a lot about that. And obviously, you know, I think he was destined for a top club one way or another, whether it was via Brentford to someone else or, you know, straight to Tottenham. And hopefully we can keep him at Tottenham because I think his ceiling is bigger than what we are right now. But with him, that ceiling of what we can achieve gets bigger. I do believe that. I think he's a top player. And I think, you know, a future captain. I said that in the summer. As soon as you brought him in those first few games of pre-season, and you know when you were reading the articles about, it's like tiny little things, but like him picking the bibs up and the cones and all that in training, and like how quickly impressed, and you players show leadership in different ways, right? Spurs don't have the most vocal, shouty captain, and I think that's where people get frustrated with Son for not being that. And I get that, I do understand that, but at the same time, leadership can be portrayed or evoked in different ways. And referenced it in the press conference after the Liverpool game where he was talking about Solanke and Kulusevski and talking about like players who have stepped up in this period of games, like to show that leadership. And obviously, like leadership gets evoked in like different ways, like I said. And I think Kulusevski was you know, we've been calling for Kulusevski to be a captain for the last few months. I think he's more of a natural born leader. But when you think about what someone like Solanke has done leading from the front in terms of his work rate and the tenacity and desire to not give up, I think we have got leaders in that team, but we just don't necessarily have that one player maybe.
Dictator.
And that's what I also think we lose with Romero not being there. I do think he is, you know, obviously English isn't his first language, so it's hard to be the most vocal, I'd say, but you can still speak in football terminology and still get across like what you want. I think we've got a very good leader at the helm of the club in the manager, for sure.
Yeah.
But we still need that. But like, I think Gray is one of those players that I think can develop into. You think about like, I think Gray will have a similar kind of trajectory to like someone like a Declan Rice, who you would class as a leader for Arsenal and for West Ham. He was obviously the club captain. And you think about
leader.
Shit leader, what a fucking wanker. But you think about, say, like for example, when Harry Kane moves on for England, you'd look at the next captains and you'd probably would say Declan Rice, wouldn't you? He'd be up there, like in that conversation. I do think, stripping all of it aside, I think Rice has got a lot of capability, a lot of personality and capabilities to be that captain. So I think that I think Gray will go on a similar. I think he will develop down a very similar path, and I think he could be a better player. I hope he'd be a better player. But I also think with the confidence that he's got in his own ability and the confidence that he's got in his personality and the way that he talks, I think you're looking at someone who will be, if Spurs can keep him at the club, which is the most important thing, then you're looking at someone I think will be a future Spurs captain. So I think for the long term, I think will be. Oh, I also think Bergvall. Look at the bite he's got. I like that. I'm not saying he'll be.
The way he carries himself.
Yeah, he's confident. Did you see the video of when the players were walking to the ground yesterday and they were going, "You should have been sent off on Wednesday, mate," and he's just like smirking, like nodding at him like that. I love
smiling. Yeah, they're calling him a wanker, and he's just like smiling. Mate, he's 18 years old. Like,
I love
that's the thing. The confidence sort of breeds leadership. And you're looking at even Bergvall, but mainly, predominantly Archie Gray at the moment. The way he sort of he's ran with it, and you're seeing the leadership role that he's starting to sort of you're starting to see the foundations for that. With the way he takes accountability, the way he talks in interviews, or the way he conducts himself, or the way he leads by example.
Yeah.
and the composure he shows. I mean, they're all leadership qualities, but I feel like him being 18 and being at a big club and all of a sudden becoming really, really important, which he has been this season. It's like I feel like he's just going to run with that and grow as a leader. And I think in 2-3 years you're going to see someone who also shouts at his players, who also he's going to become a lot as he's getting older. He's going to become more of a mainstay in that team and an experienced head, because if he's playing this many games, I know we weren't expecting him to, but he's going to be an experienced player in the next 2 years, and that's where he can be a bit more of a dictator. I think we will see him grow into that player because his football brain is there. His leadership quality is there. He's just young at the moment. And it would be kind of weird to see someone dictating older players around him at 18 in his first season. But I feel like as soon as he sort of gets a little bit more comfortable, that quality is definitely there, if you know what I mean. And because, you're seeing all the potential. But in regards to, also Archie Gray, I've got a little tingle in my ball bag that tells me he's going to score on Wednesday.
I've got a tingle
like a rebound from a corner
that I feel like he's going to score soon. Like,
I
think I tweeted a while back being like that first Archie Gray goal for Spurs is going to hit like crack. Like, and I think it will. Like, you think of the Bergvall goal, like the jubilation after that, and seeing him do that knee slide. I feel like Archie Gray's got a very similar sort of celebration in store for us. Like I don't know, when he starts playing in midfield, maybe a ball that falls him on the edge of the box, and he just first time just like half volley like into the bottom corner, or like just beats the goalkeeper, and then it's just he's going to be grabbing his shirt like this, and he's going to be wheeling away, and you see that
kissing
little
the badge.
You see that little boyish face just beaming up. Like I feel like he's got something nasty in store for us, like Bergvall did. Like I think that Archie Gray goal that first one will be a movie. There's like the Dyer goal.
There's also. Yeah. But there's also an element of like a throwback element to players like Bergvall, Gray, Kinsky, amongst like players that amongst football players being superstars and sort of carrying that with when they score their dancing, handshakes, look at the cameras, all this stuff. You got players that just play for the love of the game. And they're brilliant at it, and you can see the leadership qualities coming through. And in 5 years, that sort of no-nonsense football, let's just get on, win this game football, but express yourself, express your ability, I feel that will shine through. They don't look like people that maybe Bergvall's got that little bit of flair, but they don't look like players they look like players that just put football first all the time. And to have a young group of players, a group of players that put football first is so promising going forward, because a lot of young players, you can see it getting to their head straight away. They seem really grounded. Of inevitability of him going around with Ramos is sort of like so as a left Real Madrid, like that the fact that he speaks Spanish as well, Spanish is his first language, like everything just points that he's gonna go Real Madrid, and he's just gonna I'll be annoyed if he doesn't. I think Real Madrid is like the sort of club where you just like, okay, just go Real Madrid.
Where else would he go?
I feel like we'll get over it quite. That's the thing. If he just left for the sake of leaving, I'd be pissed off. But if it's like you go on Real Madrid, like fair play, because you can see that's the end goal for most like Latin players, I think, and most football players in general. I mean, look at Trent Alexander-Arnold, like Scouse, Liverpool through and through. He wants to go Real Madrid because why the fuck wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to play for Real Madrid? So I think it will be a lot easier to get over than the likes of Harry Kane going, obviously. And also the fact that he hasn't really been available for a while this season. I think we're sort of just we're seeing a future without him. I think that's because it's literal in our eyes. We haven't seen him in a while. I mean, it's not. If it's anything like this season, it's not a good future. But I think he's one of those players as well as like that defender in him. I think is replaceable. He's an unbelievable defender, but it's the ball playing ability that's so hard to find in the market. That melding of ball playing ability and composure and that aggressive throwback defender is just so rare. And I mean, that's why Real Madrid want him, because it's like that Sergio Ramos regen. And also the fact that he's won things. The frustrating thing is though, is that we're we always look like we're on the brink of 4 or 5 signings away, and then our team is complete. Look at Vuskovic when he comes in. We got Romero, Van der Ven. They're the 2 players, and then you got Vuskovic. Dragos in, but you got another centre back to come in, hopefully. And now you're looking at it thinking, fuck me. Now our main thing for going into the summer is to replace Romero, and then we're back to square one, and there's no development there. And selling is good. Like, it's a good part of the game. Every team has to sell at some point, but when he's one of the main the main strengths of your core and your spine, and you're selling him whilst you're trying to develop, it is frustrating because it's not like a winger that isn't part of that spine. That spine needs to be solidified for a good 5 years, and then you can build around it. When you're losing that leader at the back and that core of your team, is so frustrating. But I don't know. I feel like we'll go for like a Zabani, someone like that. I think he's as good. He's nowhere near as good as Romero on the ball, but he is a very good defender, and we've been chasing him since he was at is it Zagreb? Like, when was it Zagreb? I can't remember. He came from Ukraine.
Go and get Huijsen as well, because when Van der Ven leaves at some point.
That's the thing, and it's like, well, we know we are a selling club, which is a horrible feeling. We sold Harry Kane. We didn't, for some reason, we have Sonny stayed with us, but we're going to sell Romero. That's the thing. It's like, where does it stop? When's it going to end, Robbie? Like, we need to keep Van der Ven. We need to make sure we keep these players. But Romero has just felt inevitable for a while. Anyways, moving on back onto getting back on track with the Tamworth game. I was talking about players that it's clear that don't like wear the shirt, and it's getting worrying now. With we got a question from Billy Price saying, were you surprised that players have consistently questioned? We have consistently questioned if they're good enough. Actually, failed to convince against non-league club. Werner and Johnson should have targeted this game as a confidence booster, but instead were the usual passengers. For me, that's the end game, which is pretty strong from Billy. But I feel like a lot of us are in the same boat. And then Jackie Nicout says, was it ever more evident? Was it ever more evident than yesterday that we need a winger that can do more than just finish chances? Johnson is a good player, but his lack of technical prowess was so evident against a really poor team yesterday. Might be something for the summer, but it's a huge issue. And to be honest, the players I wanted to talk about was Werner and Johnson. I mean, Johnson got his goal. We'll get into Johnson in a minute. First of all, on Timo Werner, personally, like, he seems like a really nice bloke. I'm separating the bloke and the footballer, because you've got to realize, you got to remember, obviously, I think we all do, that he is a human being. But I'm actually becoming quite hateful about his football abilities.
Yeah.
Like, I actually hate him as a footballer.
I'm so angry.
To the point where I'm like fucking gritting my teeth watching Tottenham play, just knowing he's on the pitch, and that's nothing to do with his personality. And he's done it again.
I've got the lead judge's snarl whenever he gets the ball.
Me too. You have to divide. You have to split the person and the footballer up, because it's not about him personally. He's obviously going through a real drop in confidence. I mean, he's been going through that since that purple patch at Leipzig. But like, the fact that he can't take on a player in Tamworth, the fact that he can't finish 1v1 versus the Tamworth goalkeeper, and let's be honest, we never believed he was going to score that when he went through, when he slipped through. The fact that he's I don't know, he's just ghosting a game and he doesn't stand out. I mean, Tamworth had a winger for them on the left. He was brilliant. He was running at Porro, he was running at Dragosin, he's causing problems, he was being direct. That's what we want to see from Werner. And Werner wasn't doing that.
Mate, and he's he
didn't have the confidence to go past the player.
In Zara.
Yeah, I know. That's mental. But like, he with Werner, I think I'm cold towards the situation because I know that he's not part of our future. I can get frustrated at him because there's no patience needed, I don't think, because we're not going to sign him on a permanent. I mean, it would be the end of the world if we did. So, and we know, like, the wages he's on and all this stuff, it all comes into a factor when you're judging him as a player.
Yeah, that's a great point.
That he should never wear the football shirt. Again, I don't think he deserves to. And what was frustrating for me is I actually think it was a mistake from Ange Postecoglou in the first place, playing him up front. and you got Will Lancashire on the bench, who holds a lot more of a physical presence against a team that was going to sit back and defend with all their might, all their will. And Werner's just not up for that challenge. And Lancashire would have been hungry. The thing about playing Lancashire, even if he doesn't play well, even if he didn't play well if he played, at least he's part of our future, or that he has the potential to be. Yeah. Whereas Werner, he's just a stopgap. We know there's no future involving Werner. Even if he started if he sorted his life out and got it together and started scoring and banging in all goals, he's not part of the future. He's not. So I'd rather have seen Lancashire, and obviously he scored against Galatasaray. Like, in fact, he's not playing against Tamworth. I think he would be frustrated with, and I actually think he's going to end up going out on loan near the end of this window, because if I was him, I'd be frustrated. But
especially as well, if we find like a versatile striker, like say if Colin Mawani did come through the door, someone like that.
Yeah.
We did sign someone.
I'd be frustrated if I was Will Lancashire, because I actually think everything he's shown so far is proof that he's capable. Like, he's definitely capable. He's got potential, and if he's not playing, we need to just get him playing and get him out in the Championship, and I guarantee he'll start scoring goals, because he's got that physical presence that we needed up front. And then Solanke comes on, and you just felt so sorry for him. Obviously Dorrington didn't play, but he's going to Aberdeen on loan. And apparently he signed a new long-term contract, which is positive. But Brennan Johnson as well. I know he got his goal, but it's that incapability of beating a man or trying something new or doing the unexpected, and it's so frustrating in this system when you need a bit of creative spark out on the wing, and he can't even do it against Tamworth. And it's like I think he epitomises a player that's got a lot of raw natural ability, but hasn't got a football brain necessarily. And it's frustrating because he'll do things off of instinct. And I think instinct goes hand in hand with confidence. I still don't. I know he had a purple patch earlier this season. He's not confident. He's a confidence player. He's not got a lot of confidence at the moment, I don't think. And I think it goes in hand with instinct. When he's got the instinct of just getting it in the ball, he's quite robotic in the fact that he will follow that get it into the box down to a T. But is that the right move in the moment? Probably not, but he's doing it. That's like he's been told to do it. He's like an AI generated player. You'll tell him to do certain things, he'll just keep trying to do it. And there's no sort of individual mindset there. And I just found him frustrating. He did get the goal, obviously. He got the goal, and it was a good finish in fairness to him. But it's frustrating when you're looking at a player who's he's got so much raw potential. You can see that there, but that lack of footballing brain is holding him back, I think, and that confidence to beat a man, because you're playing against Tamworth, mate. You're playing against actual plumbers, and you don't want to take him on. And I feel like he's not kicking on to the point we expected him to at this point.
No. Just one step over.
I've said a lot.
I'm gagging for one step over.
Yeah, just try it. Just try it. Yeah. Or just drop the shoulder, mate. Just a little drop of the shoulder.
Yeah.
It was frustrating. So I've spoke about 3 players there. Have I? Or 2 players? 2 players.
A couple. There's another player that we should speak about that also you can lump him with them too, because he lost the ball 45 times. Pedro Porro. Fucking hell.
Oh my god. Pedro Porro was having a mare, wasn't he? He was having a mare. And it was the intensity of like Regulon, mate. Regulon's showing you up, Porro.
Yeah, Regulon did all right.
Did Regulon and Porro switch positions yesterday?
Yeah, switch brains.
I thought Regulon was fine. Like, he played 90 minutes. I mean, who would have thought at the beginning of the season Regulon's playing 90 minutes, 120 minutes for us? But obviously Porro did as well. But there's just moments where you just think, get it in the box or test the goalie or do something, show a bit of intensity, be on the front foot and direct. And I think we thought we were just going to keep scoring the perfect goals and it'd be like a training practice. But this is the game of Tamworth's entire history even as a town. I never even heard of fucking Tamworth before this game.
Yeah, other than Spudman.
This is the town's biggest accomplishment. Yeah, other than Spudman. So yeah, I've thrown a lot of that yet again, but sort of break down your thoughts on Werner Johnson, because I actually hate going in on Johnson, because I do believe there's a player there, but he is just it's like, for him, I feel like it's just a step forward and then 2 steps back constantly. And it's like, is he ever going to kick on? Is he ever going to do it? And sometimes you got to cut your losses. And he is a weakness in our team. We cannot afford to have passages when our team is so lightweight at the moment. We can't afford it.
I think you made a lot of good points there, because it's never been about technical ability with Johnson. I don't think it's ever been about that.
No.
It is that lack of belief that is holding him kind of back. And the reason that, because quite often, like, you'll go on social media and I'll go on social media and I'll say something about Werner, and then people will go, yeah, but what about Johnson? It's like, absolutely, Johnson's having a nightmare of a game or whatever. But it's like, the reason that you can't put those two in the same boat is because of the quality of the output is incomparable. It's really not. At least with Johnson, you're getting something that you're not even getting with Werner. Johnson's our top goal scorer in all competitions. And, that finishing ability and that ability to get to the back post and those kind of things and snuff out those chances is a skill. And it's not luck. You can't be lucky. Like, of course, you might be lucky if you're like, for me, like if Solanke's scoring those kind of goals and like with that all-round play that he's got, nobody would say anything about tap-ins and that kind of stuff. I saw a thing about Jude Bellingham where Jude Bellingham was getting slagged off for a quote that he said the other day. Did you see this? Where he was talking about, like, people want to hate the fact that I'm scoring these, like I'm scoring tap-ins or whatever, but it's like they're saying this about me because they're not getting in the same positions, or they're almost kind of intimate that they're like their favorite player is not doing the same thing as me. I'm working hard enough to crash that box 20 times a game, and if I get that one chance and put it away 5 yards away from the goal, that is a skill. Yeah. That is a skill. It's relentless. Skill. So that's the thing with Johnson. But at the same time, he holds himself back massively with that. Someone made a great point on Twitter and almost said, like, about even like breaking it down to his like posture. He's way too upright all the time when he's like running, and that means that he can't really offer any sort of disguise when he wants to do anything. It's also predictable because he hasn't got like that drop. The only unpredictable
lows to the ground.
Yeah, the only thing that makes him potentially unpredictable is the burst of pace that he does have. But again, that's about combining with another player and using his ability to get around someone. Like we saw quite a lot last season when he would maybe that little 1-2 with Porro, and Porro would play that little ball round the corner. He's got that burst of pace to attack the space, but it's all about what he does off the ball. And those parts of his game are fairly complete. But his on the ball stuff needs more work than a lot of players in the squad. Like, it's just like, and we've said it so many times about how you can't have two wingers that want to do the same thing in Johnson, but you need someone. And I thought at times Ali McCoist was giving Mikey Moore a little bit too much criticism, especially in that first half. Like, I'm not seeing enough from that front three and all this kind of stuff. Like Mikey Moore, I thought it was going to be this kind of player that would, combine and create. And it's like, the kid's been out for 3 months. But he came alive in the second half, I thought, more like combination with Maddison, and there was a lot that came down the left-hand side. And it was all right, that's what we need. That's what we're kind of missing. And it's fine if you've got a winger on the other side that wants to just be a final action player. If you've got someone that is going to combine and create and make chances for other players, or that player to attack the back post, that's fine. We saw that happen with Johnson. He had that one at the back post where he just didn't put away with any sort of conviction. I don't know if Moore actually created that or not, but you understand the point I'm trying to make. Like when Moore was back in the team, naturally that compilation of his performance against RZ came back around, and it was like some of the things that he was doing in that second half, that willingness to beat a man, and also the skills, and also that desire to cross from deeper positions as well and get the ball to the back post for someone to attack. It's fine if you've got someone on the end of it who is like a final action player, if you've got someone who is creating on the other side to supplement that. But when you've got two very one-dimensional robotic players on both wings, if you're Dom Solanke, how do you expect to have chances created on a regular basis for you? And if you're that other winger, how do you expect to have, it's different if it's an open game and Werner or Son can use their raw pace in behind to lay it on the plate for the other person. But when you're playing against more settled blocks, the other winger isn't going to get any sort of chances. And that's where Johnson needs to do way, way more, because, he doesn't, there's no guile. There's no, like I said, just one step over would be lovely. Just do something a little bit different. It needs so much coaching. And I feel like I think the thing is with Johnson, I think Johnson could be a really useful player for this squad. I absolutely believe that. And there's no way that Spurs should consider selling him. Absolutely not. And I understand why people don't rate him, but you are selling 15 goals a season when you're doing that. You have to replace that. But at the same time, we need desperately a creative winger, or more of a powerful, dynamic winger, someone like a Semenyo, who can be a bit of more of a battering ram and stop and go past players and use that raw pace and physicality and look like he can't be stopped when he's carrying the ball. We also need someone like maybe like a Gittins, who is a goal scorer on the other side. That ability to, I've seen Harry Brooks, because Harry Brooks coaches Gittins, doesn't he? Or used to.
Yeah, I know. It's
Gittins is crazy. And every time he scores a goal, he's like, this is literally what we worked on. I saw him put an Instagram story out the other day where he was like, well, if you're a winger and you want your 1v1 finishing to improve, or you're finishing like up against the defender to improve, then come to me. And it's like we need someone like that. They're calling him the
Iron Robin on the other side.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it?
Fair play, Harry Brooks, mate. Imagine creating or helping mold the future, like parallel to Iron Robin. I mean, fucking hell,
crazy, isn't it? But we need something like that. We need dynamism. We don't need players that are going to run in straight lines and attack space all of the time. Yes, it might work in certain games if you want to play on the counter attack. Absolutely, you can play both of them. But when you're playing against like settled blocks, that's why it would have been really nice to see more. Have Lancashire there as well to kind of play off and combine and create. Have someone that can actually put the ball into feet and bounce off. And Maddison would have, Maddison always thrives better in those. I think Maddison, when he's got a creative winger on the left hand side, always looks a lot better as well, because he's got someone that he can combine with, and Maddison can kind of float into those pockets as well and allow more to come into the pockets that Maddison kind of leaves, if you get what I mean. So. Yeah. The thing is, Johnson and Werner, all they did yesterday was highlight a problem that we've been saying about for weeks anyway, or months anyway. And I like Brennan Johnson. I've been reticent to criticise him, but that because of the fact that obviously he had major criticism and it, came to the point where he was obviously in a bad place, deactivating his Instagram, all that kind of stuff, and he went on a great run after that. But he's still going to be Brennan Johnson is a very useful weapon, but as a squad player. As a starter, he needs upgrading, absolutely, and that will come in. That's the phase 3, so to speak. I'd say good signing, definitely. Wouldn't sell him, not at all, but needs upgrading, absolutely.
I agree, because I think he's such a lethal weapon on transition. If we're winning a game and you bring him on and his fresh legs to sort of get him behind and cause more problems, and every time we attack, just surging into the box like that is like you're saying, that is a skill that we can reap the rewards from, because when a game's stretched, he's probably perfect for him. In fact, he was doing his best work at Forest in a transitional game. It's about breaking low blocks, and the thing that frustrates me as well is that I don't think he's not effective in defensive scenarios either, like helping Porro out. There's a disjointed sort of there's a lack of cohesion with them. If it's so easy to get the better of Porro and Johnson as a duo when you're attacking them, because they hesitate on the overlap or the underlap. They don't know who to take. I don't know whether it's a communication thing, but I mean, you see it week in, week out. And now I've said it. Go and have a look next time that we play and they play together. That overlap, there's a hesitation on which one they take, and that allows for the cross to come in or the overlap to happen and the cross to come in. And we're very bad at conceding crosses, I think. And I think that sort of stems from that. I mean, you don't have that cohesion with the two in defensive scenarios. But with Johnson is that I think my frustration. Okay, so with Werner, the difference between Werner and Johnson is that Werner isn't a big money signing, a young player who could be transformed into something special, like Johnson is. Or when we signed Johnson, I think they get compared a lot or put in the same bracket, understandably so at the moment. But with Werner, I've given up because he's not part of the future. Johnson, very, very, he should be part of this future. If everything goes to plan, he should be. But my 100%. my frustration stems from fear, I think. Because we've been burnt before when we've signed players and it hasn't worked out. And my fear is that if he doesn't kick on now, in a year or 2 years, in like January, in the January transfer window, we're gonna be trying to loan him out with an option to, and that's our option of trying to get him off the books. Because if he doesn't kick on and we sign players that do add the things that he doesn't, there's that worry that we're going to be in the same position we've been in with Lo Celso and Ndombele, these big money signings where you're just trying to get them off the books, but no one is willing to pay that money unless it's a loan / option. I can see that happening, and that's the thing. I think the best case scenario right now is that he's just a super sub. I just don't think he should be starting, not in the with the form he's currently showing. And I don't think that's too harsh because I love him and I'm desperate for him to succeed. It's just we've been burnt before with these deals where it just hasn't kicked on like we expected it to.
Yeah,
and
it's also why
I'm a bit fearful.
It's also why I'd be a little bit skeptical. I was talking to Seb about this, about the. I think Johnson has definitely done 100% done well for Spurs, but it's always a little bit why I'm skeptical sometimes about signing wingers from. Semenyo definitely not, because Semenyo Bournemouth play possession football where he is tasked with, teams will sit in against Bournemouth because it's while I'm a little bit skeptical about, or did we have this conversation? I can't remember. It was either me and you or me or Seb where we're basically talking about Brian Mbeumo, and I like Brian Mbeumo. I don't think if Brian Mbeumo makes that, because a lot of people would say about Wolves, we should sell Mbeumo as a starter to replace Johnson. Brentford play very transitional football where they sit in deep at home and attack space in behind. I'm not sure Brian Mbeumo could make that step up necessarily to a top club that is tasked with breaking down low blocks a lot more of the time than Brentford are. I'm not sure. If you're playing transitional football, yes. If you're saying that Brian Mbeumo is that, I like Brian Mbeumo, and I'll probably contradict myself a little bit because I've said about Spurs signing him before, and I think he'd be good. But thinking about it more now, and you can change your mind when more evidence is kind of presented, and it kind of gave me a different perspective. Like I don't think Brian Mbeumo is the answer to replace Brennan Johnson because I think you'd have a lot of similar problems. I think Brian Mbeumo probably has got more. What's the word? I guess more, not just skill, but I don't know. I don't think he's the ceiling raiser that I think Semenyo would be a much better signing than Brian Mbeumo for Tottenham. I think.
Well, I think Brian Mbeumo is interesting because you look at Johnson, and Brian Mbeumo is everything Johnson should be in a weird way. Like the thing that Mbeumo has is that element of guile, drop of the shoulder, that directness, that all stems from confidence. I think obviously he's a little bit lower in ground in with his center of gravity, I think, than Johnson. Obviously you were talking about Johnson's body language and body position when he's running at players, it's like upwards, and I think Brian Mbeumo has that little bit of skill to his game. He's not a 1v1 specialist, or he's not a showboaty winger, but he's very direct, and when he's running at a player. I know what you mean about sort of that transitional game that Brentford play, but I mean, if Mbeumo was at Liverpool, he'd look like one of the best wingers in the league, and he's got like the highest shot conversion in the league. Shot conversion rates. I think he is.
But how many shots do you think he had? I don't know. I'm a little bit scared. I think he'd be good, and I do think he'd be good at Liverpool again, where their game is kind of. There's a lot of focus on transition moments.
Yeah, their transitional game is quality. Yeah,
I think it could be a bit like Salah, where it's like he's not doing much, and then all of a sudden, just like, And I think he's a good creator as well. I think he is. Maybe I'm being harsh, but.
Well, no, I don't think Mbeumo is a player that you go out and suits the system of Postecoglou to a T. But I think he's a player that if we had a different manager, he would be a really, really good player to come in. I think it depends on in the summer if Postecoglou is still here, which we all hope he is, because that means that we've had a good end to the season. He's not a player that we should got. Maybe Semenyo 100% is the player to go for, or someone in that style. But I think Mbeumo, he's what I feel like he's similar to what Brennan Johnson could be if he just had that bit more directness, that bit more guile, like you say, and that intensity when he's running out of player that you just think something's going to happen. Brennan Johnson's way too predictable. Also, Yang, he wasn't on the bench yesterday. Does anyone know why? I mean,
yeah,
I feel like it was a good game, but I've got a feeling, and I think I said this before with Yang, you can't. I think we all want to see him. It's exciting. We want to see him. Because again, he's that 1v1 specialist with that bit of end product, but I don't think he's going to be ready for another 2 years. And I think it's just one of those deals where you sign him, you loan him out because he's not ready yet. But then at least when he's that player everyone's talking about, you don't have to go and spend big money on. You've got him. Like he could. I feel like he'd suit the Bundesliga or the Dutch league, etc. Eredivisie. I think he'd suit that gameplay, maybe even La Liga. at a lower team club where he can be a bit of that star quality for them, gain his confidence up and get match game experience up, and then in a couple of years come in when he's primed and ready. I don't think he's going to. I feel like we're going to end up loaning him at the end of the season, and he's had maybe has a couple of games here and there, because I don't, and again, we shouldn't really expect too much. It's just that excitement. I think I was just frustrated because I wanted to see him. I wanted to see what he can bring to the table. But if he's not he's not making the bench, I mean, I don't know if, and we had like youth team players on the bench yesterday.
Yeah. Do you get a small? Am I tripping? Do you have a smaller bench in the FA Cup than in the league? Am I making that up?
Oh, do you? Maybe, possibly, like seven players. Possibly,
yeah, I don't know. It looked like a smaller bench. Again, I might be wrong. Let me know. But
I was just like, oh, he's not making the bench against Tamworth. I'm like, I know it's a physical game, and that is like throwing him in the deep end when it comes to physicality, and maybe they'll target him, but it's like, that's not a good sign when it comes to and rating him at this moment, or how much not rating him, but how much of an impact he could make.
I was more glad we saw.
Yeah, I feel like he's going to be loaned out.
I was more glad we saw.
Yeah, me too.
We had a good second half.
I've missed that Marky more. Yeah, no, I've missed that sort of the excitement he brings to a team when he's playing. Like he can just turn it on, and he just looks assured, doesn't he? And he just looks confident. Really quickly on Bergvall, because again he came on and he just looked he looked levels above the players playing for Spurs, and obviously the Tamworth players, they couldn't even get near him, but he looked better than a lot of the players that were playing for Spurs. I saw you say you reckon Bergvall's now above Sarr in the pecking order.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I kind of said it was more of a question, to be honest, like whether what people sort of think. Because I saw someone else tweet it, and I was like, I wonder what everybody thinks. So I was thinking about what the midfield should be for Wednesday, and I was like, I think it's really hard to drop Bergvall at this moment in time. And I actually think, like we kind of spoke about it earlier, with the confidence that he brings, creates that sort of sense of leadership, and I think that. Yeah, I think it's horses for courses. I think in a game where you need to cover lots. But then again, like people say Sarr's off the ball work is better than Bergvall's, which it is, yeah. I think it is. But that's not to say that Bergvall's off the ball work is bad. I think he can cover ground quite quickly, actually. And I think his positional discipline is getting better. Yeah. But we spoke about this before, about like I think people are almost misprofiling Bergvall a little bit. And I think we were all guilty of that in the summer when before he played a minute for us, and we were all kind of like, yeah, he's this really pretty, tidy player that's going to like a playmaker for us. And like we all thought that when we were watching it. We spoke about this on the last podcast, but actually you watch him and it's like, this kid is like a Bellingham kind of player, isn't he, really? Like 6'1".
He bodied that 40-year-old plumber, didn't he, on the edge of the box?
Yeah, fuck off. Tommy Tank.
He dispossessed Kulusevski, and I was thinking, oh, fuck that. If he's out-muscling Kulusevski, Jesus. And then Bergvall, I know it was a foul, but fucking hell. He wasn't getting up for a good 2 minutes like that guy.
No.
It was mental. Anyway,
he's I think he can be that. I think he can be a pivot player with Basuma. I think often we group like Basuma and Sarr together and say that's the best way you're going to like. That's the best balanced pivot that Spurs have kind of got. But maybe it's not. I was encouraged with what I saw of Basuma and Bergvall against Liverpool. Exactly, yeah. So I don't know. I'd be interested to see what people think in the comments about whether Bergvall has jumped ahead of Sarr. I think it's always it's hard to have these conversations, and it might be a premature thing to say, but yeah.
I think it speaks volumes that he was. I think it speaks volumes that he was chucked on when we needed an impact, and with the likes of Kulusevski, Son, Solanke. He was part of that, and he came on and he did. No, and he did start against Tamworth. I think everyone was expecting him to start, but I think he's saving his legs. I genuinely think he's saving his legs and thinking we need this fresh maverick, feeling energized when we go to the Emirates, because he has that fearless nature that we need going to the Emirates, because we know our track record there. We know how the sort of narrative normally plays out. And when you have the fearless nature of the Archie Grays, Bergvalls, I think these are good games to save them for when our squad is so light. Anyways, where Bergvall's not going to know anything about going to the Emirates. I don't even think he cares. I think he gives that sort of the illusion that he don't care, impression, sorry, that he doesn't care. Whatever game it is, he wants to just play football, and he's growing into himself, and he's feeling confident. So I think he'll start, and that leads me on to the Arsenal game. Yeah, that's a nice sort of segue go into it. I think Bergvall, I believe the midfield should be Bergvall, Bissouma, and Kulusevski, similar to what we saw against what we saw. Actually, no, I think it should be Maddison, Bergvall, Bissouma, Kulusevski on the right, Son on the left, Solanke up front. I think that's the way we go. I think I don't know. I do want to see Kulusevski the sort of in the mix and dictating the game, where I feel like against Liverpool at home a few weeks ago, he was out of the game, and it was frustrating because he's our outlet and he was out the game. But when you have got Bergvall in the midfield, Maddison, who played, I think he was one of our best players yesterday, Bissouma, who was brilliant again yesterday, I think when you've got those players in the midfield, they are all dictators, I think, when they're on it. And Kulusevski, you just need that quality out on the wing, I think.
To be fair though, like you think about how we played at City away, and Kulusevski played on that right hand side. And if you look at, like, I'm just going to get it up now. Like, I remember doing the analysis after the game, and it was obviously evident when you were watching it anyway. But like he basically was playing as a second striker, drifting in from that right hand side, kind of dragging in that fullback along with him. Who we know that Arsenal's fullbacks like to operate in kind of more of a central position anyway. It's going to be. It depends. Obviously, I don't know if Calafiori's fit. It'll probably be Lewis Skelly, wouldn't it? So, Kulusevski against Lewis Skelly. I know I like Lewis Skelly. I think he's a physical, robust, good left back, 100%. But I don't think Johnson's going to get much out of Lewis Skelly. So, I'd rather Kulusevski play out there and drag him into kind of those central areas.
Yeah, that is true.
And combine Solanke and use Maddison a little bit deeper. I think you're going to still get Kulusevski coming into the middle anyway. So I would probably go with that.
Yeah, that is a good point. Or
Sonny on the left,
or Maddison dovetailing and coming out wide as well, and sort of just sort of throwing a spanner in the works where they don't know who to pick up because Maddison's doubling up with Son or Kulusevski when he's and just that free roam that he had against City away as well. He did the same thing.
And also with the space that then gets left by Kulusevski drifting inside, you've either got Sarr or Bergvall who are quite powerful runners on and off the ball who will look to float out to that. We saw that quite a lot at City when we were like building up out from the back when they were pressing us hard at the pitch. And Arsenal will do that. They'll come out with a point to prove. You know, they haven't won in 3 games. It feels like they haven't scored a goal in about 6 years. Like they're gonna want to, you know, get at us and try and make it difficult, especially with a centre back partnership with Gray and Dragusin. And this is a massive test for them, absolutely massive test. But we saw it quite a lot, obviously, with Maddison kind of coming into that left back position and building out from there. And then you can drag everyone over to this side of the pitch. And then that kind of creates that space. And then you've got Porro on the other side, or Sarr, who can or Bergvall, who can, you know, drive and drive into that vacated space when you're trying to build out. So
because again, he showed just a lot of competence. Never looked phased. He just always looks very comfortable from what we've seen. And the juxtaposition between Liverpool in a semi-final to Tamworth in the FA Cup, like again, he looked like he just treated the game the same. Didn't drop any level of. He just didn't show any level of being worried. And he got smacked in the face as well. They were targeting him at corners, but he just didn't look. He just didn't look phased. It didn't look like it ever sort of dawn on him. Freddie on Twitter says thoughts on Kinsky coming straight into the side and looking right at home. He seems to be the dictator at times and a magnet for the ball when it's in our defensive third, almost as if he's being utilised in certain situations to dictate the speed of which we play. And yeah, I mean, for Arsenal, we know they can like press ferociously, and it's just another sort of like string to our bow when it comes from being like our comfortability in being pressed, because Liverpool are incredible as well, and we just seemed like we could just do different things, and it caught Liverpool off guard. I know Tamworth have given it their all, but I feel like it could be similar with Arsenal, that the ability he has to sort of just, we talked about it before, but just vary it up, go long and be accurate in that. And yeah, even in transition, I mean, Man United got Arsenal in the transition yesterday for Bruno Fernandes's goal. Kinsky is a perfect goalie for a transition because he can just put it right into your path as a winger. If you're Kulusevski driving forward, like, you know that he can find you. and it gives us different options. Travis Leveson from Lily White Lab, he says, is Kinsky proven to be our potential number one keeper sooner rather than later, perhaps even when Vicario returns? Granted, we haven't seen enough yet, particularly with shot stopping and sweeping, but his distribution and especially cross-claiming seems almost superior to Vicario. And that's what I wanted to talk about, because obviously, you know, Arsenal, the problems they cause from set pieces, they've regressed, haven't they, in terms of actual footballing, like in their tactical play. It's like, I think someone said that their set piece coach just needs to be the manager, because Arteta's whole game plan is just win set pieces. It's like, what the fuck, mate? I'm surprised Arteta ain't called Tommy Tonks, mate, and seeing if he can join his team with a long throw he's got. But I am a little bit worried, but I'm curious. There's a bit of fear and a bit of curiosity that sort of blend together for me into seeing what Kinsky's going to be like at corners and claiming corners, because he needs to assert his dominance. This is where I think for the fan base, this is where he wins the fan base over in regards to him or Vicario. So it'll be interesting to see how he deals with the pressure put on him from set pieces from Arsenal. Do you think
this is literally the definition of the acid test, isn't it? Yeah. Well, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I think that's one of the facets of his game that people were talking about before he signed, and you know, having that ability and that confidence to come out and do it. And I think we've seen that in the last couple. Obviously, yesterday there was a moment where they hit the post directly from a throw-in, but he was being pinned back into his own goal. And
did he punch? He missed the punch, didn't he?
Yeah, but he was getting pinned back right into the goal. It got given as a foul.
Yeah. It was a foul.
And again, Arsenal will be all up to all their tricks tomorrow. You know that they knew how they got on top of Vicario, and they'll be looking at Kinsky as fresh meat, won't they? The latest lamb to the slaughter of their, their latest victim of corner shithousery.
Yeah.
But
Ben White ain't there to sort of untie his gloves, is he?
Yeah, make sure your gloves are strapped fully on, mate. I said, did you see those pictures of Vicario like back in training already?
Mate, he's a little bit like our Homelander. Do you think?
Yeah.
He's a little bit like, I don't know. He's got, he's so competitive, and he's worried.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's like, I don't get nervous, but I'm starting to get a little bit shaky. Like he's looking at, he saw one Kinsky performance and was like, yeah, I need to get my shit together here, lads. Like,
yeah. But I'm actually weirdly more confident with Kinsky going into from the two games we've seen going into Arsenal than I would be with Vicario. Just primarily because of what I've seen so far from corners. And that's not to say if he drops one in his net or etc., that's his weakness, because you've seen Arsenal exploit that with almost every goalkeeper in the Premier League. They cause so many problems. That's their main and strongest asset. But I'm just curious to see how he deals with that pressure, because that is actually going to be his biggest test. And I know Arsenal, Kai Havertz is absolute wank, and he'll probably score now. I said that, but they're really struggling to score without.
XG.
100%. But they're missing Saka, and I feel like he's such a valuable part of the way they play. It's such a key part of the way they play. When you've just got Martinelli, Havertz, Gabriel Jesus, they're not lethal. They're not. James Alcott was saying yesterday he sees it as like when you used to play video games, fighting video games, where you have that health bar, and it's like Saka's one of those players that you don't ever see that bar drop. No matter how his game's going, he holds himself up. His shoulders, he puffs out his chest, and he carries on going. And the fact that he's not playing in a game like this, where he is a big game player, is so beneficial. And almost like a worry off my consciousness. Because obviously we've got Porro, Spence. They'll start, I think. But Kinsky, he may not be dealing with too many chances. I know he's going to be busy, but they look piss poor in front of goal. But it's just that risk of set pieces that worry me, and I'm curious to see how he goes against. He sort of handles himself. But what would be your team then for the game? The game tomorrow.
I would probably go
Wednesday. Sorry.
Yeah. I think the back four largely picks itself, doesn't it? Kinsky, Porro, Dragosin, Gray, Spence. unless we get mystery injury. Obviously, Dragson came off, but I think that was more to do with the fact that he's probably on a booking. Obviously, he went down with that. He did get an ankle. He didn't get kicked, but there was that instant at the corner, didn't he? It looked like he sort of landed a bit awkwardly on it.
Yeah. Rolled his ankle. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully he'll be okay. And then midfield, I would probably go with. I think Basuma definitely. I would go with Basuma, Maddison, and fuck it, Bergvall. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Kulusevski, Solanke, Mikey, Son.
Yeah. I'm
another little Son like this at the Emirates.
I fucking love it, mate. I'd give my third nut to see that happen. Another thing about Sarr is that I think he just looks a bit leggy, to be honest. I don't think he's any less committed. I think he's just a little bit leggy, which is forcing a bit of sort of rustiness when he's passing or when he's like defending transitions. I think he just needs a bit of a rest. And when you got a freshness of Bergvall, just let him play and Sarr be that player that come off the bench to see things out or to add a bit more physicality. Sarr's got enough credit in the bank to sort of just be like, yeah, he just needs a rest. Just rest him and get him fresh, because when you got a fresh Sarr, he's so beneficial to the way we defend, especially and attack. But
maybe the fact that he the one thing we're kind of overlooking a little bit, in an obvious sense, is maybe the fact that Sarr started yesterday and Bergvall didn't is an indication of what he might do on Wednesday.
What start Sarr or start Bergvall?
Start Bergvall.
Yeah, no, I think he will. I think he saved his legs for it, and him coming on with the players that he could actually force an impact on a game and just see it out. No risks, no nonsense. Just see it out. It's obviously proving where he's at with his confidence at the moment. He's at that right now. The last few games, he's at the level of all our best players, confidence and form-wise, I think, which isn't hard because we have been low on confidence, but we're sort of gaining that confidence, and he epitomises that confidence being gained game by game. With Dragusin, I'm a little bit worried about him, with the pressure of being at the Emirates, when he's on the ball, being forced out with Kai Havertz running at him, Martinelli running at him, Odegaard. Arsenal are really relentless in their press, and they have caused us problems with their press before. But Kinsky kind of just relieves him of that pressure a little bit. And Basuma in the Emirates
last year, didn't we?
Basuma at the Emirates was best game he's had in his shirt, in a Spurs shirt. And if he's anything like that, the press I'm not too worried about, because even with Dragusin, Kinsky being able to give it to Basuma, if Basuma's on it like he was at the Emirates last year, Maddison, Gray, you got players that are competent enough. Kinsky, like I've said, that against the press. I am just a little bit worried about Dragusin on the ball at the Emirates. But how confident are you going to this game, mate?
I think it's one of those ones, and we've probably said it a little bit too frequently about Spurs at the moment because of the situation that we're in. It's a bit of a free hit. Is it? I don't know. Obviously, these derbies kind of come with obviously a lot of pressure and expectation. And if there's a bad performance in this game, then obviously questions, of course, have to be asked. And like, if we get embarrassed, then
yeah. It's down to commitment. I think it's down to commitment in these games. You just want to, as a fan, you just want to see courage and pride and passion and showing your sort of like you're all in. Because then the Ange out brigade will just fucking start piping up again. It's just frustrating. You don't want to be in that state of toxicity going after losing to Arsenal, going to work on Thursday morning. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I feel all right about getting something. I'm kind of like it's always the most horrible game to watch, isn't it? I felt like we could do something against them at home, and we nearly did, and we should have done, because they were crap. And they're crap.
Yeah.
They're shit. Yeah. That is not a title-winning team.
They are shit. Nah, they are. They're so fragile, mate, and they're so Route 1 stuff. It's fucking dross.
And we always seem to have this thing with Spurs, and it was evident yesterday, and also very evident on Wednesday, is that we almost seem to play to the level of our opposition a lot of the time. So, if they're this second in the league team and, we need a performance, maybe that bodes quite well for Spurs, that we, at Tamworth, we were crap. Someone tweeted literally like, it'd be the most Spurs thing to lose to Tamworth and beat Arsenal. Just like, that's who we are, mate.
Yeah.
And that's been the case before Ange has been here. I think it's just that Ange's inconsistency heightens that narrative even more. You know, like it's always been a thing with Spurs where it's like, lose to the fucking shit team and go and beat Real Madrid or whatever. Whereas with Ange, there's even more of a focus on it because we've just been quite inconsistent.
Yeah. No, and also as you see that, obviously I think Arsenal are going to be more tired than us going into it, which is rare because we've been so battered and shattered going into every game this season. But that tweet from an Arsenal fan, I can't remember who it is, and I don't even care. But it was that, good, extra 30 minutes in the Spurs' legs before Wednesday, and it's like we never went into any, like we never really went into second or third gear. I think we just brought on a bit of quality, and it was almost like a training session for the likes of Kulusevski, Son, Solanke, Bergvall, Spence. They're going to be fresh for Wednesday, I think. And Arsenal went all out, plus the deflation of losing on penalties at home to a 10-man Man United. That could bode well for us massively when it comes to confidence and momentum. But again, the Emirates is such a hard place for us to go. So performance, and I think it's done and dusted for me. And again, I'm not defeatist. I want us to win so bad. I'm trying to think. I just want to take points of Arsenal so bad and just kill their season completely. Because if they drop points tomorrow, we could put that final nail in the coffin for them this season. I know they're still
think
in the
about
Champions
how
League,
much they will hate that as well. Like even more than usual.
Spurs being it. Yeah, we didn't do it last season. I actually thought they were going to win the league when they beat us at
so did I.
at home.
I had that dread.
And that was that feeling of we can be the people that stop them from winning the league, and the team that stopped us from winning the league, and we didn't. And now we can sort of put that right. But again, I mean, yeah, of course we can win. Of course we can. And it's Spurs. It would be so Spurs if we did fucking win. But I just think they're going to be trying to prove a point, Arsenal, at home, the Emirates. It will be really tough. But I think it'll be a draw, to be honest. I think it'll be a draw. And I'll snap your eye off right now and draw. Yeah, I would. And we got to be realistic and to see where the states we're in. I know they've had a hard week, but I mean, they're battling for titles. There or thereabout.
We're battling for relegation,
obviously, but and we're mid-table. Yeah, I know. It's like, and we're so deflated when it comes to no Romero, no Van der Ven. The fact we can get a draw is positive if we can. I think I sound a bit defeatist, but I was just trying to be as like realistic as possible.
Yeah,
I don't want to be like, we're going to win.
We're playing Arsenal away, like it's
It's the Emirates as well. We never win there. Like Kabul's header was the last time we won, wasn't it?
I mean, in the league, the League Cup.
We won there once in the league. Oh yeah, League Cup. But then that was, I mean, Kane linking up with Dele Alli. I mean, I had one pube then, and I was pissing out of it. So I don't. Yeah, I'm not. I'm confident, but I'm not getting ahead of myself, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Final question, mate. If Arteta comes out of his technical area, which player is most likely to break his legs and clatter him? I'm saying Bergvall, mate. I think Bergvall wouldn't give a fuck.
He'd be straight over there.
Or Kulusevski would chuck an elbow at him or something.
Him and that Nicholas Jova, or whatever the fucking set piece coach is called. Kulusevski, the people's elbow on Arteta. Yeah. Bergvall is a good shout, actually.
Yeah.
I'd actually I love
just slide tackle him or something. Take him out.
Lump him there.
He ain't getting up if Dragusin's the one to do it.
No, exactly.
Dragusin's like something you see from Vikings. Arteta is like Lego head. Like he looks like one of the characters in a Lego movie. He's I cannot stand him. And when he was coming out of his technical area again at Man United, I'm thinking like, why aren't referees clocking onto this?
No.
So I feel like it needs to be a player in a game like this to just finally take one for the team and just take him out and try and make it look like an accident.
I was literally just about to say that. Yeah, but I was like, well, mate, why are you there? Why are you standing there?
Yeah, get out of the way then. Why are you on the pitch, you dick? Yeah. I think it would be Bergvall. I think Bergvall wouldn't give a fuck. He'd just slide in.
Yeah,
that's Højbjerg's legacy, isn't it? Højbjerg's legacy is scoring a consolation in Liverpool, absolute screamer.
That was so good.
And squaring up to Arteta, telling him to get back to the technical area in pre-season. I just want to see a little bit of that tomorrow. Anyways, everyone, thanks for getting involved. Thanks for the questions. I'm sorry we didn't read all of them out, but we got a lot of questions, so thank you for getting involved. It means a lot. The support's been massive. We've gone up in subscribers recently, so thank you so much for for subscribing. And if you haven't already and you enjoyed it, please hit the subscribe button. We're going for 1,000 subs on YouTube.
Let's go.
And we're really not far. This is like the final push to this first proper milestone for the podcast. Almost been going a year now. If we can get that 1,000 mark before the end of Feb, that would be incredible. That would be so amazing. So yeah, everyone, thank you so much. And obviously, North London derby, huge game, huge game. Let's get behind the boys, which I'm sure you will. Yeah. Legends, Ben. Legend as always. Catch you later, mate.
Nice one, mate. All the best.
See you all later.
Up Spurs.